Well, I really do appreciate you guys having me here today. It's a really hard act to follow. You guys, I can't believe all of your accomplishments. That's amazing, and congratulations and good luck in your studies. But I'm really excited to be here. Maybe not as excited as I was last time in Jackson, because I got to walk away with a pretty cool new accessory. But it's really, really awesome to come back to where the town who welcomed you and the town that gave you so much scholarship money. And so just like you guys, I received over 15,000 scholarship dollars from the Tennessee program. And I know that helps, and I know Daddy's happy about that too, because Belmont University is quite expensive now, and private education is really racking up. And so that's going to help me continue to put myself through school, because I have so far put myself through 3 years of school with scholarship and also working 2 jobs and trying to cram it all into a 4-year degree. But now I'll be able to go back when I'm a senior at Belmont and get to finish out because of this scholarship program. So I think that's something to re-emphasize on, that not only Jackson, but the state of Tennessee helps fundraise $80,000 to award to 36 girls. And that's something that's very unique about Jackson, and that's unique about the Tennessee program, because not every other state is like that. And it's actually Miss Jane, correct me if I'm wrong, it's the third, it's up there?
We're in the top 5.
We'll say third. Tennessee awards the most scholarship given in the Miss America program, so that's something that's amazing. But something that I do, and he explained very well, is I get to go over and get to travel across the state of Tennessee. I actually travel over 80,000 miles, and I get to speak to over 50,000 school children about character education. And I chose the character trait respect because, as many of us know, sadly, it's lacking in our generation. And so I get to speak to children about how you respect diversity and how you respect others and your peers, but not only your peers, but your elders, and how you treat others in the way you want to be treated. And so that's something really cool that I get to do, because I get to also connect with the state of Tennessee and realize that the generation that is coming below me is actually going to be in charge when I'm an old person in a retirement home. So I definitely need to instill in them respect your elders. But I also get to work with Children's Miracle Network. And for those of you who don't really know what Children's Miracle Network is, it's a nonprofit organization that is also the philanthropy of FIMU. So I know you understand that, and it's also the philanthropy of the Miss America organization. So I got to kind of double dip, not only in my sorority, I was elected the philanthropy chair, but also in the Miss America organization. But it really started when I was about 4 years old, because Children's Miracle Network funded all of my care as a child. When I have an older sister who's about 14 months older, and she just graduated as a biomedical engineer from Vanderbilt University. And we are very, very close, and right about when I was born, my father was diagnosed with Graves' disease. And it was actually a misdiagnosis because he had thyroid cancer and they didn't catch it. And so right when I was born until I was about 4 years old, my brother was then again born. And they finally found out that my father had stage 4 thyroid cancer, which, as many of you know, if your father is like the rock in your family, and it's terrifying to see someone so strong in your life go through something like that. And so when he was diagnosed, the medical bills were really, really beginning to pile up. So my father was receiving radiation treatment. My brother was just born. My mother was she wasn't a working mother, and I have a teacher as a father trying to pay off radiation, chemotherapy, my brother's birth. As mothers, we know that is very, very, I said we know, no, I don't know. I'm sorry. As my mother has told me, having a child is very expensive. And so all of that was happening while I had the great ambition to be the next Olympic gymnast in my basement, concrete basement, and did a back handspring and found myself with a very severely broken arm. And it affected my growth plate, in which I needed a lot of specialist care. And so because of that, Children's Miracle Network had to step in and help my family, because sadly my mom had to go and tell them, I can't afford my child's care. I can't afford to give her the specialist care in which she needs to make sure that, my arms would grow equally normal and good length, and they are so good so far. But it was something that was really hard to do, and so Children's Miracle Network funded all of my care, and my family got to walk away from the hospital that day completely debt-free. And that's something that's very, very amazing, as we know. And so because of that, I was really passionate. My father told me when I left the hospital, which he won his battle with thyroid cancer, so he has been cancer-free, which has been a huge blessing for my family because I don't know what I would have done without him. But I remember him telling me when I was 4, which you know your memory is not very much fully developed, but I truly remember him saying, not every kid gets to walk away from the hospital like you are. You get to go have summer camp, and you get to go have your birthday party, you get to go swimming. But a lot of the kids in the hospital that I became friends with did not get to walk away like I did. And some of them would stay in the hospital. Some of them grow up in the hospital. I can't imagine growing up as a child in a hospital where I couldn't go out and go do the things that are so fun to do as a child. And so what it really did was make sure that I knew that I was a blessing, and also that I wanted to give back to those around me. So what I did was made a pledge when I went to college that I was going to fundraise until every child got to come home just like I did. I know that's unrealistic, but I'm definitely going to try. And so far I've been able to raise over $15,000 for Children's Miracle Network, and we're still counting because we're still doing many other state fundraisers, especially in preparation for Miss America. And what I got to do this year was, in preparation for Miss Tennessee, go around and meet a bunch of these miracle children and get to hear their stories, and also reinstate the reasoning behind why we fundraise and why we give back to these children. And I got to meet this really special girl named Sarah Faith. And Sarah Faith is an orphan who is from Africa here on a medical visa. And she was recently adopted, which is absolutely amazing, but at the time she wasn't. And because of malnutrition and the abuse that she suffered, she will actually never ever be able to speak again because they actually poured acid down her throat to silence her. So I'm sure, as we were talking earlier, you guys are very familiar with child abuse. Well, this child had been through far more imaginable than I could ever understand. And so walking into that room, I knew I had to prepare myself because I'm walking in with a crown on, with almost what seems as a perfect little life into this girl's room who has such hardship and who has been through so much. So I was expecting to need to give her so much. But when I walk into the room, she immediately runs over to me and grabs her hand and then puts it around my hand and grabs it and puts it to her heart and just gazes up and smiles at me. And she won't break eye contact, which kind of intimidated me. But she would not break eye contact with me. And that's how she spoke to me, that she was happy that I was in the room. That's how she portrayed that she was welcoming me. Because she couldn't speak, but she sure did speak with her body language, with her actions. And so instead, I walked out of that room being given the motivation to let my life speak for itself. Because of Sarah Faith, a 9-year-old orphan. You don't really think that when you go into these rooms, and you don't really expect that. But because of her, I have worked and worked to make sure that more children can come over on medical visas, that we stop the abuse going on in these orphanages, and that these children can receive the treatment and care in which they need. And that's something that's really, really fun to do, and also you get to see these benefits. I put on a fundraiser called Model for a Miracle, and what we did was I took the Nashville community and got them involved, and we got to fundraise money for the Children's Hospital in Nashville, and these girls, I had all my sorority sisters help me, and they got to walk up and down the runway modeling these clothes, and then we got to have the miracle children come out and share their stories. And one of the children's name is Cale Adams. He's a very, very special miracle child, and he got to stand up there and tell the story how he has a rare heart disease, and then he got to explain to everyone that he wanted to be an advocate for children, that when he gets older, he's going to make sure that children get to feel welcomed and have fun in the hospital, because he knows what it's like to be raised in a hospital. So that's what he pledged to do in front of the 400 plus people who were there. And then he took off down the runway, and he threw up his hood at the end and did a pose, and I mean, that guy has it all together. But something that's really cool about the money we raised, which is about $10,000 we raised, it all went to Cale Adams, and it paid for a life-saving heart surgery that he had. And so last month, Cale got to have his 10th birthday party because Cale got to have another birthday because of the money we raised. Now I don't know his lifespan expectancy, but he got one more year, and that's something that I could never replace, and that's something that money, you think, you can't really understand how every penny matters and how every dollar matters, but it really racks up, and it racked up to save Kale's life, and that's something that's really, really cool. And I really appreciate you guys listening to me ramble on and share those stories with you, but it truly does matter, and especially having a sister who's going into med school. She told me she was making heart valves with actually pig heart valves to put them in children so that they wouldn't have to get as many open heart surgeries, so that the valve would grow with them. And she was telling me that she had to order a vial to do so, to make this stem cell that would create it to where they wouldn't have to get as many surgeries. That one vial was $50,000. Just to get one vial, to understand even the research behind helping these children have less surgeries. It's crazy how much you think, oh, $10,000, that's not that much, or $10,000, that's a lot to go to one child. But you don't realize how much money it costs to get us to that point. And so I encourage you, when you see those annoying people at Kroger, or you see those annoying people at the gas station saying, would you like to add $1? Add $1. Because that dollar does rack up against someone else's dollar and the next person's dollar. And it will go back to these children in your own community who are going to reap the benefits of that money. And so thank you guys again for having me here today, and I hope that you get to understand a little bit about what I do and about the Children's Miracle Network program and what it truly does for young children in the state of Tennessee. And go take a first responder class, because you'll need to know some things. As Brian has showed you, he does not. And so I hope what you take away from this is to continue supporting this program, because it refines young women. And it gives me, and not only me, but a lot of other women in the state, the platform to be much more than I could ever be, just as Hayley. It gives me the platform to reach 50,000 students and to put my hands on 50,000 children and tell them that not just Hayley Lewis thinks they're amazing and thinks they're wonderful, but because a real-life princess told them that there's something, they're going to believe it. So thank you for believing in this program. And I appreciate you guys having me here today.